So did you see who was in Travis Kelce's box last night at Arrowhead Stadium? Of course, Chiefs lose to the Texans 2010. Their playoff hopes take a huge hit last night with that loss. Leonardo DiCaprio was at the game last night. Of course, Taylor Swift was there. She was alongside Selena Gomez, her BFF, and Lena Dunham, also in the house last night at Arrowhead Stadium. Now, I saw some of the pictures of Leonardo DiCaprio at the game last night, and he just had on a jacket, and he had on a ball cap, and he was trying to look very incognito. But, of course, people picked out Leonardo DiCaprio from a mile away. So there were a lot of photos of him circulating on social media. Now, you were at the game last night, Mark. I assume they didn't show Leo on the big screen or anything like that.
No, I was oblivious till I got home last night and saw it all because I wasn't out with my phone during the game. Couldn't feel my fingers.
Yeah, it was. I bet it was cold there last night. So they did not, obviously, they never show Taylor Swift at the games. If you go to a game, you know that. Taylor never gets shown on the big screen. I respect that. I think the Chiefs do a good job, a classy job with that. So, they weren't going to show Leonardo DiCaprio last night. I'm glad I wasn't there. I might have lost Kate last night on that one. I know all of our wives, or we all have our single celebrity crush. Mark, do you know who your wife's celebrity crush is, where if she was at Arrowhead, you might lose her? Someone come to mind?
I know she has a couple, but I can't think off the top of my head.
All right. Well, you keep giving some thought to that. I know I'd be in trouble if I was in that suite with Leo. Might have been a bad one for me. But either way, he was there last night, and I can't help but wonder if Travis, who had a bad game last night, a couple of drop passes, especially in the fourth quarter, he's got all his big-time new celebrity friends there with his fiancée. If part of it was just him being a big old baby. Now, there have been many times after losses this year that he has not stepped to the podium. And as Mark said, there was one Kansas City Chiefs media member who said Kelce rejected interviews twice last night after the game. I can't help but think that he was extra upset because he had all his fun little Hollywood friends there, and he played like crap and his team lost, and he's embarrassed. Well, guess what? Grow up, dude. Okay? That's part of being a professional. That's part of being a leader. You're not going to win every one, and sometimes you're going to play like garbage, and that's what happened last night.
It was the first time in his Hall of Fame career he had more drops than catches.
Wow.
2 drops, 1 catch.
And Mahomes, for the first time in his career, threw 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in a game. But I think that's so weak on so many levels. And I can't get over the fact that this guy does not talk to the media this season after losses. You're not George Karlaftis. You're not even Chris Jones. You're Travis Kelce. You're the guy dating the billionaire pop star. You're the biggest celebrity, not star, but the biggest celebrity in the sport right now. You've been to 3 straight Super Bowls. Let's see what it's like when your back is against the wall and your team's not playing well. And what do? After wins, you'll do your Kermit the Frog Mahomes impression like 2 weeks ago against the Colts. And then when your team loses with the season on the line and you drop a couple of passes, you say, no, I'll save my commentary for my podcast on Wednesday.
All about brand management at his level. That's the issue.
Yes.
He's not just the run-of-the-mill player.
He's not. And that's what this is. He's not even just like a top star. He's not like Mark Andrews on the Baltimore Ravens. It's bigger than that. Do we have the Kendall Gammon clip as well? I'd like to run that here. Kendall Gammon commenting this morning on this because Kendall and I have gone back and forth on this issue over the last really few weeks. And Kendall brought her up. He's the one who brought her up this morning. And I love Kendall. But he brought her up this morning saying, yeah, Travis didn't talk to the media. So I asked him once again if he was at all bothered by Travis Kelce continuing to avoid the media and just answering the basic questions after a tough loss. Here's what Kendall had to say.
It doesn't bother me, but I think your line of thinking is fair, and I understand it completely. Probably, again, I've told you this before, because having been in that locker room with players who, if they're so disappointed, so pissed, whatever it may be, that they just aren't talked. But yeah, I am surprised that he continues to do that. But I think it's pent up frustration, and I think he knows he probably shouldn't talk when he's that emotional. And that is one thing that I will give some credence to is sometimes some players really have a hard time when they're so emotional, controlling what they want to say or how they say it. I'm not saying that's necessarily what Travis is doing. And obviously, yes, it's easy to talk after a win. So I understand the frustration there.
Yeah, I love Kendall. You know that. We've been doing this for several years now, before and after games. But I could not disagree more. I just couldn't. I mean, this is not your run-of-the-mill player being like, oh, I'm not good with the media after a loss. This is your franchise tight end dating the billionaire pop star who's just got to be able to get up there and say a few words just like the rest of his team is asked to do. The rest of the guys are there talking to the media, answering questions, doing what men do after a tough loss in sports. But Kelce, he's too big for it, John.
Speaking of franchise tight ends, Mr. OG, Tony Gonzalez, not my favorite necessarily, but he labored through some times here with the Chiefs. He knew where he was going after football, so he was always Mr. Suave with these reports because he knew where he was going. And so that's the thing Travis has got to catch up to.
You're right about that. Now, the difference today in the media world is you don't need a Fox or an ESPN. You can just do your own thing with your podcast, and maybe he figures he doesn't need anybody else at this point. But that is short-sighted. I think it's a total loser mentality, and I'm really disappointed that it's gone this way after these losses.
Legacy media gives you lots of impressions.
That's true. That's very true.